Welcome back, everybody. Wednesday morning edition of Hot Mic rolls on. Full Vikings NFL draft debrief we'll do coming up in the top of the hour. Jeff Kolpak will be by as well for our Buys and Media Zone segment at 10:30. If you missed the top of our show, the big news today is the announcement that Oxbow's Amy Olson has announced her retirement from the LPGA Tour after a 10-year run, which is, I kind of shake my head at that, of playing professional golf. She announced this morning that she's stepping away from that, and lo and behold, we have got the superstar here to join us this morning. When you told me the other day, I felt bittersweet because I know how much you have dealt with the decision-making on this for the last, I don't know, probably 2 years, but also the fact that I won't see you regularly on the tour. But this isn't about me. First off, congratulations. What are your emotions this morning?
Well, let's make it a little about you, Dom.
No,
You've watched it. You've had a front row seat to this since what? I mean, junior golf? I mean, it's been,
yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I probably feel a lot of the same emotions. You know, it is bittersweet. Like, I have loved this journey. I've loved golf. Golf's been great to me. It's also been really hard at times. And so there's things that I will miss, and then there's a lot of things that I won't miss, you know, and I'm really looking forward to this next chapter. I think, you know, there's a place for looking back and reminiscing, but I really am looking forward, and there's so many things I want to do. And you can't do everything. They try to tell you you can do it all. You can't quite do it all.
There was a line what you told Jeff I thought was really, that hit me, was about the moments we don't see, the hours practicing. Give us that of how lonely it is as well to be a professional golfer.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, one of the things I loved about golf, and especially growing up, is I didn't have to wait for anybody to go practice, right? Like, I could do it by myself. I grew up like, throw the Walkman. I mean, this is how old I am. Throw the Walkman in the ears, listen to some music on the radio as you're practicing. I loved that. I think that's one of the reasons that I excelled, because I did love the practice, and I loved doing it when no one else was doing it. You have to do what no one else is willing to do in order to get results that no one else is getting. So, like, you know, I always loved that part. I think, you know, transitioning from just playing for the love of the game to playing for money and then being on the road 32 weeks out of the year, to me, that was always a necessary evil, to be gone from family and to be traveling that much. You miss out on so much. You miss out on, I mean, I couldn't remember, other than COVID, the last Easter I was, you know, in church with my family. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of, little things that you miss. And when you have a goal, you're willing to do those things. And I don't regret any of it, but I have other things that I want to be here for now. And so I have a bigger why.
When did retirement first creep into your mind?
Well, probably my rookie year after a triple bogey. No, I had always in my mind actually set the goal of 10 years. And so, like, even when Grant and I were dating and we were talking about, like, our long-term plans, I said, like, I want to play till 30, and then I want a family. Like, I want both. I don't want them at the same time. So I kind of knew from pretty early on what I wanted if I got to make the decision. For most people, golf makes the decision early of, like, you don't have status, you don't get to play.
Right. And
so I was like, my dream is to be able to play for 10 years and then to be able to do the next thing. So I'm really fortunate that things pretty much played out that way.
That's maybe the remarkable part of it, that you got to set your own terms. So many for athletes just that doesn't happen that way. Is that something you have perspective on now, or you think you'll gain, 6 months from now, that I got to dictate when I wanted to be done?
Yeah. I've thought about it actually quite a bit over the last year and a half. And in some ways it's like, it's such a privilege and an honor, but in other ways it makes it really hard because you have to choose to let go. And so I think, like, I've wrestled with it a little bit in gratitude that I can, but also like, there's options, and am I making the right decision? So it can make you second guess a little bit.
All right. I want to do a little memory road if you're cool with this, but
let's do it.
I want to go back to last July. NBC picked you up playing your last hole. I want to take me through the emotions. I have not asked you this. So that last hole, I could see it in you when you went over after you were done. Did you get a sense? Did you know then it was done?
I knew that that was my last, like, true like, as a professional, like, that was my last event. I would say there's always that little bit of me that's like, I'm gonna tee it up again in something, like, it'll, for fun, whatever. But truly, like, and I didn't want to announce at that time because I wanted to be all in until I was done. I didn't want the distraction of that. And so, like, I did know, but it was very emotional. Jeff Kolpak was there,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he got to see it, and he's like, it just felt. He said it felt like an end. And I think a big part of it was my family was there. My caddy Tanika was
Yeah.
on the bag for, she'd been there for 6 years or so, and yeah, it was really special. I think it was special because I got to share it with the people who had been part of my journey.
I'm watching it now, and I remember watching it live. Like, boy, that feels like it was enough. What were the emotions like walking off the green that day?
Yeah, just trying to hold it together.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the thing that's like that makes it so hard is that it was so good. And so I think that's the thing that I just, I like to hold on to and remember. It's like you don't grieve something that wasn't good.
Yeah.
And so just so thankful for all of the memories and the moments.
Grant told me you guys went and spent a few days too in California after that. What was that like?
Just like free, like I don't have to go practice. I mean, I've missed cuts before, Dom. Like,
Yeah.
I've missed a lot of cuts in my career, and to not have to go, man, I gotta figure out my swing. I gotta figure out my putting stroke. I didn't have to do anything. That was actually like just a huge weight off my shoulders for sure.
All right. The 2020 U.S. Open, I know, is such a bittersweet memory for how it went down, but also the nation. And I'm not saying this to butter you up. I really believe that people watched and felt for you. How do you? It's 4 years removed from it now. How do you look back at that tournament in 2020?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the most, I guess, difficult,
Yeah.
circumstances I've ever been in. But I think you're right. Like, I mean, I've run into so many people since then that have said, "Oh, I remember you on." They can't even remember what tournament it was, or like, and what happened, but they remember it. There was something, that I think connected with everyone, because everyone's gone through loss, and everyone knows what it's like to have to continue to move forward in the middle of that. And so that has been, I would say, one of the defining moments of my career. And I think when you're in those moments, you don't realize that they're that big. But I mean, for me, it was, and I've always tried to do this, Dom, but just perspective of what is really important in life. And that should affect how you live every single day, not just in, those days when you're really reminded. And so that's just been something that I think is not iconic. That's not the right word, but something I've always tried to live by.
Yeah. That week was so. I look back at it now. I still kind of shake my head because it started off the best way possible because you got a hole in one that week as well. I don't know if people remember that. I remember I'm sitting in the sports office. I'm watching you come on, and then that happened. What do you remember? Is that one for maybe favorite shots? How high up is that one?
Oh, top.
Yeah.
Top. I mean, I think I've had 3 hole-in-ones in competition, but to have it in the US Open, like, I actually vividly remember I pulled the ball out of the hole. I walked to the side of the green, and I'm like, no matter what happens the rest of this week, no one can take away. I got a hole-in-one in the US Open. Like, that's pretty freaking sweet. And so, like, I mean, that was just like such a high, so much fun.
Oh.
And I think I posted 4 under that day or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like either in the lead or one back or something. I was like, that was a pretty cool day.
Did you keep that ball?
I don't think I have it. I don't know. I'd have to look at I have, like boxes of memory stuff. I don't even know.
There's 2 other I want to talk about, and Jeff's going to be by later, and we're going to dive into this. One I remember vividly, I was on vacation, my boss calling me saying, hey, we're going to have to get to Colorado because Amy's leading the U.S. Open when you're still playing at NDSU. This is 2011. What do you remember about that?
Oh, that was so cool. I mean, I just remember qualifying for the U.S. Open and sending a text to a couple friends and just being like, I'm going to the U.S. Open, just one of those things that, now that I've played in, I don't know what, 6 or 7 of them, it's like you forget like how special it is to just be in the field, you know? So I just remember being so excited about that. I went out there like 2 weeks early to start prepping, and like I'm showing up and they closed the course down the week before. I don't know that. And I'm like, well, can I go hit some balls on the range? Like I had no idea how this stuff worked. Right. And so I laugh, at that a little bit, but, leading the US Open was like, it just gave me that belief. I think back to a couple pivotal moments. I think like winning the US Girls Junior Am right before I entered college. So international golf, girls competition, and winning that, I was like, whoa, this might be possible. This like pipe dream of professional golf, and then leading the Women's Open, because I was like, this is the best of the best. And I'm not like, I didn't hang with them for 4 days, but I hung with them for a day.
Yeah.
And that's a start. So that was a really big part of my belief, I think, in having this career.
Well, you led to the other one, and I remember this vividly because I called you after you won it in New Jersey. Was the Junior Am in 2009? I don't know if you remember this. You joke with me. You say, I got to meet Donald Trump after because it was at his golf course, right? When you won this thing.
Yes. He came in his helicopter during like the party or whatever. Of course, he does everything like super low key. So he like lands in the middle of everybody and then he came up to me at one point and was like, so are you going to win this thing? And this was like before it even started. Are you going to win this thing? I'm like, of course I am. He's like, I like that response. Anyway, and then, he ended up following, I think, my final match or whatever. And I was like, hey, do you remember what I told you earlier this week? Yeah.
How well, when you look back at those 4 days, 5 days even, was that about as well as you've ever played up to that point in your life?
I vividly remember standing on the range in a couple of those matches and just going like, oh, I hope I hit the fairway on the first hole. Like, I mean, I genuinely, like, I didn't feel like I was playing out of my mind. Like I still had some, but like it came together on the course. Right. I remember the qualifying was so rainy and wet and soggy. And I'm like, this is like, it's playing so long. And I broke par, maybe like shot 71 or something. And I was like, okay, we made it through. Like, I just remember relief after every round, because I didn't go into it with like this abundance of confidence going, yeah, this is my week.
The obvious question is, what's next? I know mom is number one priority, but everyone wants to know, will we see you play golf again competitively?
That's probably a little bit up in the air. Like Grant's trying to convince me, like, we need a family vacation, make a family vacation out of it. I just know how much work goes into every single time you tee it up. Like you can't just show up and tee it up. You got to prepare for it. So, that's kind of to be determined, but I'll definitely be practicing. It's going to be part of our family for sure. But anyone that knows me knows I'm pretty all in on whatever I do. And motherhood is this next chapter.
So he joked with me just a few months ago. I think right after Pebble, he said, Amy, it's got to play 2030 is, I believe the Women's Open's in Edina. I think it's an Interlaken. I'm sure you've had this conversation about qualifying for that.
Yeah, Grant could tell you the lineup of where the Women's Open is for the next decade for sure. He has some high hopes of Carly qualifying at 12 years old, and then I'll be like 43. So yeah, let's. I like Grant's plans.
Does it, I guess today, now that it's out there, I know you made the decision, you've told everybody, but now that it's out there, does it feel more real now?
Yeah, I would say so. I've gotten some texts this morning, which has been really fun. And I think it's just taken a little bit of like the everybody has the question mark, like I've kind of known, but it's just nice to have it out there that, I'm not going to get the question. So what are you doing this summer?
Is pickleball next? Professional pickleball? I mean, you guys could double. I mean, right? Is that a thing?
Hey, Dom, I've already made one sport a job. I'm going to keep pickleball fun. I'm going to keep pickleball fun.
Tell me the reaction you got from your fellow LPGA. I know how much you love your fellow competitors. What have you heard from your fellow golfers out there?
Yeah, I think, a lot of my close friends kind of knew, like once Carly was on the way, they kind of knew that it was, I was going to wind things down. So I've had a lot of those conversations, over the past few months, but so far it's been nothing but positive support. And yeah, I think that those are the people that I'll miss the most, and I'll just have to, I guess, hop on a plane and make a separate vacation.
Is there a course, this sounds weird, or a city that you'll miss going to?
No, nope. In fact, I don't know when I think the first flight I hopped on with Carly was in March. So it had been like 6 months
Yeah.
since I've hopped on a plane, and I was like, "Yep, didn't miss this at all."
You and I have talked about this, but now I know with maybe some added perspective of the impact that you had, not just on golfers and people that love golf, but especially I remember the clinic you did with young girls, women that were trying to get into it. The impact you made there. Can you speak about that?
Yeah, I've always really enjoyed the opportunities to give back, and um, but you know what? To be honest, golf is and professional golf is so selfish. I feel like there's so little time for that. I'm actually looking forward to being able to do some of those things like that more, and taking my friend to the range who wants to learn
Mm.
golf. I think it'll just look a little bit different. But I've always tried to say yes to a lot of those opportunities and balance. What I needed to do with giving back, and I've always loved that.
Well, the best way to cap this off, I don't know how to best say it. I would say thank you for taking us with you. I think that was for us to follow you and Tom both to go and do this from North Dakota, to both have success the way you have and have the impact you had. And I think you will still feel this from what you did last year of how remarkable that was to play Pebble Beach, 7 months pregnant. That's going to live for, I'm not saying that because you're on the show. I really believe that's going to live forever. North Dakota sports history. It really will.
I love it. Well, I mean, truly, Fargo, North Dakota has been so good to me, Bison Nation. And so it's been an honor to be able to kind of carry those different flags and represent around the world.
I thank you for everything. I really appreciate the time. Enjoy being a mom and hopefully getting some sleep. I know we were talking about that off air. Hopefully getting some regular routine. And thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Thanks so much, Dom. Appreciate it.
There she goes. Amy Olson announcing today she's retiring from the LPGA Tour after a 10-year career. A couple of runner-up finishes in the majors. That U.S. Open in 2020 will be remembered around here forever. And not just here. Everyone that was watching that day. That's pretty cool stuff. We're way overdue here for a break. We're going to keep a couple here and get back on time. But our thanks to Amy for joining us. Hot Mike rolls on. We're back right after this.